the new Ground Zero, NYC. Coach Patrick Dietz. What's good, baby?
What's going on, Big J?
Nothing much, man. You were I remember, well, before we got on the podcast, before we got on the show, we were talking a little bit about what's going on your surroundings, and you know how the reason why you were like disconnected from most of it. First of all, my hearts, my thoughts, and my prayers go to you and your family for the loss of your mom. And as someone who just lost
Thank
his
you.
dad right now, I'm really really sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry. She's been, yeah, I know your mom is well enough because I live vicarious through her. And you always talked about how much of a rock she was. And if you know
Yep.
anything about my dad, we've known each other.
Yeah.
We've known each
Yeah.
other all our
Forever.
lives. My brother, I mean, that guy taught me how to be a man. So, I was joking with you, like not that it's a competition or nothing, but
Yeah.
like anyone
I
that
mean, it's
says
one
they
of
know how
those
you
things.
feel.
It's one of those things that when you lose a parent, you lose a lot, but you gain so much more because you didn't realize just how involved your mental state, your heart state, your spiritual state was with your parents as you were growing up until you lose them.
No doubt.
And then you hurt for that time that you've lost them. And once you come to grips with the loss, once you've come to grips with, I mean, I'm back home right now. Normally I'd be back home. It's about 2:30 East Coast time. My mother's home health aide will be getting ready to leave, and I hear her talking to my mother right now, and she'd be getting ready to take her leave, and she'd be talking to my mom, watching soap operas. And when this pandemic started, forget it. The two of them were going on and on and on about 45. I mean, if you've ever wanted to hear two black women talking negative about a man, that was the instance right there.
Yeah, I've walked into
So
a room full of them.
I grew up in a house full of them at one point in my life. So I missed those encounters. I missed listening to my mom wake up in the morning. I miss, and the running joke in my house used to be, as long as my mother keeps complaining about stuff, we know that stuff's good. And it's different right now. It's different because I don't hear her complaining.
No,
And that is the only thing that hurts. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That is the only thing that
isn't that
hurts.
just
Is that I
crazy?
don't hear her nagging. I don't hear her complaining about, wanting water. I don't hear her complaining about the TV not sounding loud enough. Like those little things, you don't realize just how much they mean to you until you don't have them anymore. So yeah, so that's affected me. But then on top of that, I'm a real estate agent, and we're talking about the pandemic. Real estate agents were considered not really true essential at the beginning, but then they realized, oh, real estate agents are kind of essential.
Because people are getting kicked out of that house because they can't pay their rent.
Exactly. Well, no, they're not getting kicked out of the house, but they want to move. They want to leave where they're living, and they want to go to a better place. So because they want to go to a better place, they need someone to help them get there because they're not allowed to go see it themselves. So now we as real estate agents become essential. We're the ones that can do the videos. We're the ones that can go to these places with a legal right to show, that kind of thing. And it helped boost my business, kind of, sort of. Didn't ruin it. But the thing that it really hurt was this. I mean, my heart right here. I mean, it's over my left side. CMSV, College of Mount St. Vincent, where I coach.
No doubt.
I mean, I came in to help Courtney Bernstein, who's the head coach, as the interim head coach while she was having her baby. And literally, as we were just finally starting to get our groove into who we were, what our identity was. I mean, we lost some guys due to some school issues, and not negative school issues. I mean, like schoolwork issues. We had one kid who had sold 2 art pieces to the city of Yonkers, and he had to get them done by the time the school year was done. So, I mean, the
How?
city of Yonkers paid this kid for art, and he got that done in his junior year. He got the contract for that in his junior year, and now it's his senior year, and it's the middle of the volleyball season. He's one of our top athletes, and he comes to me, he's like, Coach, and I remember the day that he came to the office. It's like, I really need to talk to you. I'm like, yeah, come on, talk to me. And he goes, with all the stuff and the 6 a.m. practices and, as soon as I leave here, I'm in the studio working, and I'm not in bed till 3 a.m. And I go, I get it. And look,
he's like, wait, really?
Yeah, I mean, this volleyball team's here for you. I mean, your brothers are here for you. You want to come by practice? Let me know when you want to come by practice. You want to be part of the family? You're still part of the family. You're my little brother. They're your brothers. We're here. We're not going to let you go. We're not going to abandon you. We understand what is more important. You're here. This is a Division III school. Okay. You are here to get your degree. Now, if you have the opportunity to go beyond that, I will help you go beyond that, because I do know people in the business that can guide you in the right path to get to maybe international play if you ever wanted to do that. But he never wanted to do that in the first place.
No.
But you've got these 2 huge murals. I mean, I saw them. And coming from a former graphic artist, because as you know, I went to City Tech. I mean, you were the assistant coach when I was an athlete at City Tech. So,
well, I was actually the associate head coach your second year.
My second year. So
she didn't want to go to the meetings, so she just did one of these like
you do it.
Congratulations, you're an Avenger. You're an Avenger.
Basically, congratulations, kid. You're an Avenger. I mean, it was one of those things where I wasn't going to begrudge the kid, and he's not a kid anymore. These are adult decisions. Am I going to continue to play volleyball, or am I going to go make a life for myself? This is something I love to do. It's a hobby that I have a huge passion for, but it is still a hobby.
Right.
It is not my life. So I'm not gonna begrudge the kid trying to solve his life and trying to get his schoolwork done, because those 2 murals were actually submitted as his theses.
Yeah.
Think about that. So I wasn't gonna begrudge him. And then fast forward, this was the end of February, beginning of March. Our school was forward thinking because of the conference that we're in, the Skyline Conference.
Yep.
The school that was hit the immediate first, the university, Yeshiva University, which was the school that was hit immediately first in our conference, had their men's basketball team in the middle of a championship run up in New England. But our volleyball programs and all the other programs, lacrosse, tennis,
women's softball,
swimming, women's softball, were all put on hold. And because we're in the same conference, our campus, our administration was very forward thinking. Immediately shut down our campus. Immediately. Because we know that we had a lot of students who frequented the city, came from Yonkers, lived in New Rochelle, probably had contact with a lot of the folks that were going to and from Yeshiva. I mean, as much as they're our closest rival within conference, I mean, just distance-wise, it's a 10-minute van ride.
Yeah, tell everybody where Mount St. Vincent is, that doesn't like in relation to New York City.
So I'll backtrack. So if people know the 5 boroughs, if this is Manhattan, this is the Bronx.
Yep.
So the top of my finger is northern Manhattan. That's Marble Hill.
Right.
Where my thumb on my left hand here is pointing out, that is the Riverdale area.
Right.
That is how close we are to Manhattan.
Right.
We are literally, if you were to spit across the fenceway on our north side, on the north side of our campus, if you were to spit across the fenceway, you would hit someone in Yonkers. It is a 30 millimeter spit range to hit someone in Yonkers, because that's how far north we are in the Bronx. We might as well be the suburbs, an urban suburb, as they like to dub it here in New York. We're on a beautiful 70-acre campus. I'm gonna do the cell spiel. Now, you gave me the room to do the cell spiel. It's a beautiful 70-acre campus. It's a small school. It's a really tight-knit community on top of that. But we're a gated campus in the largest city in the Northeast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So we get, if we get hit with a pandemic, if we get hit with anything like this, it runs through very quickly. I mean, especially when there are no safeguards. But our campus, our leadership on our campus was very forward thinking. They're like, hey, this school's in our conference. we have a lot of contact with this school. You know what? We're going to shut down right now. All kids, no classes this particular week. No practices, no classes, nothing. We're going to inspect and make sure what's going on. A week later, literally a week later, if this was on a Wednesday, the following Wednesday, campus is shut down. Everyone leave. Leave your stuff here. Leave whatever you've got here. It does not matter. Literally a week later, if this was on a Wednesday, staff, you're not allowed in. Unessential staff, especially, you are not allowed in. Since Courtney, by this time Courtney had returned from having her child.
That's right. Yeah.
Her third little girl, because she has two boys. So it's her third child, first little girl. She was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to campus. Hey, Patrick, don't worry. Don't even bother worry about running practice. We are good. They are shutting down the campus. Just go home. Don't get up. And you know, literally everything permeated through every sports team. We all agreed. Yeah. We all understood, and we went home. 2 months later, my mom dies. Because my mom has now been dead almost 4 weeks. So that's been a whirlwind in and of itself. We've had family. We've done a Zoom ceremony for her. We've done a Zoom service for her. We've done a Zoom memorial for her. Yeah. Literally, I mean, if anyone's been on Zoom on your phone or on your laptop, you see the panels of like 10, 12 people on screen. We had 8 panels of that. That's how many people my mother had affected over her time, family and friends combined.
Yeah,
I even saw
Caitlin's mom died too. So right before your mom's death and right after my dad's, that gray area in the middle, I give you Caitlin Haymont. So
wow, yeah. That's another one. It's like, my mom didn't die because of COVID. She had dementia.
Right. My father, same. Yep.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where dementia just kind of, I mean, we saw it progress very quickly, like extremely quickly. And we couldn't stop it. We just couldn't stop it. Fast forward 3 weeks after our mom dies, and George Floyd. I am watching this video.
Jesus.
And no sooner than this video is done, I don't know if I'm the first person on Facebook to, of my friends at least, to.
Well, I found out from you.
Yeah, so I was probably the first person within our small, not really that small, Facebook community, volleyball community, Central Park volleyball community, the Jiva volleyball community, the Northeast volleyball community, that spans from Maine down to the lower Chesapeake. You know, if I was the first, I apologize, but I don't apologize.
No,
this was something for me that, and I have friends who are police officers, and I have multiple friends who are police officers, not one or two. And it sounds bad that I say it that way, because it's just like, and I apologize to all of my Caucasian friends. It's just like all the white folks that say, I have black friends. You know, so I have friends who are police officers.
Right.
I have friends who are police officers. And I didn't challenge them in particular.
No.
I just posted this and go, are you, what? We are not a society that has ever been built on level equality. And I use the term level equality as an important term there for me.
You're good.
Because there's perceived equality and then there's level equality. Level equality is if two people walk into a room, both are viewed the same, both are treated the same, and they both can go about their way. Does not matter how they go, they just go. It doesn't matter if one goes up, one goes down, one goes left, one goes right. They just go. However, in America, minorities are given perceived equality. And here's why I say that. And this is coming from a black man who's of mixed race, whose parents, both of them, are Caribbean. My father and mother are from Haiti. My dad's white Haitian. My mother's black Haitian. My father would have never considered himself a white Haitian ever, because my grandmother, his mom, was of mixed race. She was a mulatto. So for her and for him, he's black. And in America, he would be considered black just based on the laws just based on the Jim Crow laws. He's more than 1/8. He's actually a full half. I believe, no, not even. He's a quarter. So
trust me, I know.
He's beyond that rule. You, Jason, you yourself, you are 1/4. No, 1/2.
Yeah.
So there, I'm 1/2. So we have perceived equality because we're allowed to walk the streets. We're allowed to do things that we want to an extent. But once we transgress someone, as with Amy Cooper and Professor Cooper, literally a week later after George Floyd, we know the disparity within that equality, don't we now?
Yes, we do.
We know that one person is seen this big and the other one is seen that big. Now, and I've had great conversations like this with other volleyball heads. Tom Sorensen, Kevin Barnett and I had a great conversation not in Detroit, I believe it was Orlando. Kevin Barnett and I sat down in Orlando just before he won his gold medal in the sitting co-ed championships. Because, an Olympian winning a gold medal is never a shock. Kevin, I see you, Kevin.
Oh, you went for the sitting? Yeah. Well, he gave it a good shot in 2004, if I remember.
He did, actually. He did, especially
Brazil was not
as the 01.
Brazil was not to be stopped.
No, especially with him at 01 and Reed at 02, and the two of them were just like, what are we doing wrong here? But they were doing everything right, and they still couldn't win. But
the Brazil train was coming.
Oh yeah, that was an avalanche. That was not a train.
Yeah.
But Kevin and I once had a good conversation about how do we infuse African Americans into the sport of volleyball? And lo and behold, Match Point this year hands 6 of the major HBCUs opportunities to start men's volleyball. So of course, as a black man in America, my first thought is, and a lot of our mutual friends are like, hey, you got to apply for this. You got to go get these jobs. I never really thought of it until I get a call from the guy who runs Match Point. And he's like, yeah, we want you to send your resume to this person. I'm like, oh okay.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, me.
Sure. I will do that, sir. A couple of complications, but the perceived equality is this. If I, as a black man, have this resume, and this guy, as a white person, has this resume, and they're the exact identical resume, if the name on this resume says Jamal Thompson, it gets shuffled behind. I have been lucky because the name on it reads Patrick Dietz. Patrick you can't get any more Irish than Patrick sometimes, outside of Sean.
It's true.
And my last name is German. So if someone does the etymology on my name, I'm a white guy. You hear me talk on the phone, I sound Caucasian. I mean, code switching is a thing that you and I have done our whole lives.
There's that universal voice, and until we get back to Brooklyn. Yeah.
Until we get back to Brooklyn, or I get back to Far Rockaway, and you get this, right? But it's when I walk into the office that the perception changes. So there's that level of perceived equality. I'm equal on paper until I walk in the door. Okay. Then I'm no longer equal. And this is what we talk about systemic racism. This is what we talk about institutionalized racism. This is something that I don't think is taught enough at the younger ages. And when I say the younger ages, I'm not talking about, 14, 15, 16, 17. I remember when I was in high school, American history, you learned everything.
Yeah, you
learned the good and the bad.
Yeah, well said.
But I also learned it because I went to Catholic elementary school. I learned it in Catholic elementary school in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Because it's part of history. It's part of our nation's history. And it doesn't get, as the term goes, it doesn't get enough pub.
No.
I remember a few years back, this is when you and I were coaching against each other. No, we weren't coaching against each other. No. Well, no, we kind of were, because you were at CCNY and I was at Mount St. Vincent at the time.
Yeah. It was first game, his opening match. It was a home game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember back then hearing a story and an article about how slavery was not being taught anymore in Southern high schools. It was being called the War of Northern Aggression.
Oh dear.
And so far, from what I've understood, is throughout time, it's permeated beyond the South. And that bothers me. That bothers me as a black man. That bothers me as an educated black man more than anything.
Because educated is the operative word here, Patrick.
Yeah. It's not like it's not, the things I've heard about slavery aren't wives' tales. They're not, it's not lore. You know what's lore?
What?
The Ballad of John Henry is lore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Patrick.
Paul Bunyan is lore.
Yeah.
But Patrick, the facts of slavery aren't lore.
Patrick, I'd like to chime in for a minute about because what you said is steering us a direction that I think it's very important that other people should know. Education, I just told you a couple of seconds ago, is the operative word. If someone, like some of our friends and some of our white friends or what have you, who are brought up or receiving their news or should I say received opinions, their opinions are generated by what they're given. If the knowledge that is being poured to them is not, let's just say it's false. Let's just say it's true. Let's just say it's stretched. And if you bring them the truth and they're still set in their ways, that's very, very difficult because one is ignorance, which is kind of forgivable, okay? I'm Patrick, I don't know everything. You don't know everything. We go on this podcast and it'd be like, well, we didn't coach against each other. Okay, cool. Okay. I forgot that. Here's the video. You were in the bench. You were watching the game, opening the game. So, and then there's stupidity. I'd like to give you an example and you can interrupt me at any point you want. I had an argument with someone, and I said this on the podcast on Monday because Rob and it was a sports debate show, but we couldn't because the fucking city was on fire. Okay, you're really going to talk about MMA or Lance Armstrong? Who gives a shit about Lance Armstrong right now? So basically, a friend of mine said, "Listen," he says, "I don't want to sound like a racist, but the FBI has this file of ethnicity, like the crimes being committed." And he says, were you aware that the stat says, and these are just the facts, because that's what people say, they use the word facts, which is crazy. The facts say that black people are committing more crimes. If you look at the stats. And he says, what's your answer to that? And I said 2 words, lurking variable. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, glad you asked. steering us close to the cliff, but I'm not going to fall off. Bear with me. There's an officer, Sergeant Michael Wood, former Baltimore Police Department. He quit a few years ago. He's on Joe Rogan's podcast. He quit because his precinct captain told him, make arrest. And he's like, but no one's committing a crime. He says, I don't care. I have a quota to fill. Give me 3 bodies. Any 3 bodies you want. Where does Michael Wood go? Because does he go downtown where the white people are? No. For example, as New Yorkers, does he go to the Upper West Side? Arrest the nearest fucking hipster? No. People that live in LA, do they go to Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach? No. He goes to this neighborhood, and anyone that looks like the typical crook in a black neighborhood, black man, didn't do anything, jack him up. Okay? And if you find something on him, it's an illegal search, but the district attorney's not going to let him know that. Plead out and you get out of jail. He pleads out. Now it's on his record. And now it's an official arrest on the FBI profile. So if you take the lurking variables and how disproportionately black people are searched or sought after, we can use drugs as an example, right? Patrick, I have a question for you. Do white people smoke marijuana? You can take over in a minute, but do white people smoke marijuana?
Personally, I have never smoked marijuana a day in my life.
Me neither.
I walk out on this street right here in Far Rockaway, where it's Far Rockaway, Queens.
Yeah.
They're Caribbeans out here, they're black people out here, they're Latinos out here, they're white people out here smoking pot on the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So people look at and go, "Yo, bro, you got any pot on you, man? You
oh my fucking god!
No.
I go to sing karaoke. Yo, where can I? Do you party? I learned some. I thought the first time I heard when someone asked me, "Do you party?" I thought I learned some new stuff. I was like, "Yeah, I party." You know, I want to piggyback what you just said. Let me finish. Let me finish, and then the floor is yours. So, if I bring someone the lurking variables and tell them why the FBI stat says what it says like that, and they understand that, they're ignorant, they got educated, they get it, and they need, and we can have a further conversation, or we can delve deeper into it. But if he just shakes his head, nope, facts are the facts, those people are called stupid, and some of those people are beyond reach. And if they're close enough, if they're worth your while, Patrick, you continue to reach out to them. But if they're not, you have other stuff to do. Floor is yours.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about the example I just gave?
I'm going to piggyback what you said because I agree with it, and I'm going to use an anecdote about myself. It's late 1989, 88. Remember not the East Side rapists? Remember that?
Yep.
Back in the day?
Remember
when we were kids?
Yes.
I'm going to a all boys private high school, Catholic high school, in Midtown East on 33rd Street. There used to be a school down there, St. Agnes Boys. I used to go hang out with my buddy Frank, who lived on 91st and 2nd in Knickerbocker Towers, the Rupert Towers.
Yep.
Which is what they're called, right? Now, that's in the heart of, well, it's not really the heart, but it's pretty much the heart of the Upper East Side. I mean, 2 blocks down is Gracie Mansion. Literally 2 blocks down is Gracie Mansion. So it's somewhere around 6 p.m.-ish. I just left Frank's. I live in Far Rockaway, Queens, because I'm heading back home. I'm going home to go back home to my mom. And I get stopped by 2 police officers. I am 15, 16 years old at the time, maybe. Slightly shorter than what I am now, maybe about 5'10"-ish. I'm 6'1", 6'2" now, 5'10"-ish. Scrawny, skinny kid. I mean, you look at my face, you'd have thought a stiff wind would have petrified me and knocked me over. All right.
So you're thinking the cops stopped you because maybe they could feed you.
I thought they thought I was homeless and they were going to take me to a homeless shelter at first, because I was wearing a pretty heavy jacket and this big old book bag on me. And I mean, big. This is packed book bag, and it's obvious that it's packed. And they stopped me.
Shit.
And the guy goes, you from around here? I'm like, no. Do you have ID on you? I have my high school ID. Here's my high school ID. Okay, where are you coming from? My buddy lives over there. And being that I had friends even back then and family back then who were police officers, I knew how to be respectful police officers. So the encounter wasn't bad. But the guy looks at me up and down. He goes, do you realize that you fit the description of the East Side rapist? And I did the Scooby-Doo tilt head. I was like, what? Really? How? Well, what's the description? Well, he's described as
black with a backpack.
Man of negroid complexion.
Negroid
complexion. Because
I wish I had someone checking my show. I need to look that up.
Basically a black person.
I know, I got it.
Possibly an African American male or Latino. I'm halfway between. 5'9" to 6'1", anywhere between 17 and 30 years old.
That is a very difficult job for the police, isn't it?
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have just basically trained these men just by that description to go find every black person in New York City,
jack them up,
and put them in a bad position. Where are you from? What are you doing around here? I live in that building. I knew two guys who lived on the Upper East Side. Both of them lawyers. African-American men. Both of them play volleyball with us in Central Park.
Yeah, Lawyers League too.
Yeah. And they were both like, yeah, we got stopped. We had to show them our bar cards.
Must be embarrassing for some of the cops too, man.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine a police officer rolling up on somebody and they pull out their state licensed bar card. They pull out their bar card and they're like, I'm a lawyer. What's up? What are you going to do then?
I don't know.
That puts them in a bad position, right?
Yes.
Now, how about guys like you and I who are in Astoria, Queens, or the South Bronx,
yeah,
or Lower East Side, or Upper West Side, and we're coming from Harlem, or we're leaving, or we're going to Harlem,
right.
And we just got off work, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and you're being challenged just for walking. Yes, lurking, perceived equality, all that stuff stems from one thing. It is systemic racism.
Absolutely.
Now.
But don't you think these stats, like the stats that I told you, put this element of nervousness and fear into people, inexperienced police officers, not trained police officers, and just regular citizens? They read the FBI file. Oh my God, black people are committing more crimes than we are. You know what I'm saying? So of course it's like this. You mentioned the word avalanche, right? It's an avalanche. It's a big snowball going down the hill as we speak. I mean, it's ridiculous. I just said on my previous podcast, this is kind of the correlation, which is not necessarily proof in the pudding, but guy pulls a freaking machete out on the cops. White guy gets taken alive. Okay,
Yep.
An armed protest at City Hall. Bunch of white dudes armed to the teeth. Okay, nobody gets killed. And we both know, as a side note, we both know if that was an all-black protest with arms, there'd be gun control tomorrow. Okay, that kid in South Carolina goes to a church, shoots up 18 people. Not only is he taken alive, they took him to Burger King.
They took him to Burger King.
They fed him.
And as much as we want to sit here, and say that
they have a tough job to do too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's the problem with that.
please.
No. It's not a problem. I take that back. It's not a problem. Here's the mistaken understanding of that. If I roll up as a police officer, and I've seen this happen. If I roll up as a police officer, now I'm an African American police officer, I'm a black police officer, and I see a black youth doing something stupid or just caught doing something stupid, I'm going to roll up and go, what are you doing?
Yes.
You see this? Do you see this? I'm representing you too, man. You're making my life hard.
Yes.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Come, get over here. Because in our minds, we're going to immediately, if they're good police officers, and I want to emphasize that they are good police officers, black, white, Asian, Latino, Hindi, Afghani, Korean, I don't give a damn. If you're a good police officer, I don't care what your ethnicity is, what your skin tone is, whatever, what your hairstyle is, you're gonna be a good person first while being a good police officer. Not in spite of being a police officer, while being a good police officer. However, if you're a bad cop, and we know some bad black men who are cops because they've been caught. We know some bad Latinos who've been cops. They've been caught. And they've been made examples of quickly.
Of course.
Quickly. There's no hesitation in that.
Yeah, where's the shield then?
But when they get caught, they're not just excommunicated. They're not just made examples of. You never hear anyone say anything about them ever again. Until it comes up later on in the news about this police officer who did this, and this, and boom, then you see him again.
Yeah. But don't you think this is where they got it right in Minnesota? Like usually, you remember Amadou Diallo? Okay, he lived.
Do I?
He lived.
Do I?
Okay, anyone's lived in New York. Okay, not killed, but he probably wish he was dead at that time. All right, and I'm being fucking serious. I'm not. I mean, that's a ha ha ha. That's a joke, but not really. Remember Garner. Remember all of these people. Every time the news. And the news is, and I hold the news completely accountable for half of this nonsense for the sake of sweeps.
You can hold them complicit. You can hold them complicit.
But
That's not a lie.
Listen to this. The difference between this one and the rest of them, because and in so many ways it's all the same, and it's very easy, in fact, lazy to just say this is just like every other case. The big difference is the media and the people took a large amount of time examining the record, the past history of the suspect. This one, they didn't do that. This one, the first thing that they examined, or the first thing that hit the news, finally some good journalism, they examined the past of the assailant, in this case, who was the police officer. 18 complaints of police misconduct. 18 complaints. So that is an example of bad officer training, protecting your own, and at the same time, not seeing the warning signs. If Patrick, if we're both cops, all right, and we're not in charge, we're not the captain, and you get and a fellow officer has 18 complaints, don't we go to the captain and say, can we please do something before this man kills somebody? Can we? I mean, he's been lucky. 18. It didn't hit the news 18 times.
I mean, here's my question, and I'm about to play devil's advocate for you.
Please.
Because I hear what you're saying. I'm about to play devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
So, Amadou Diallo. We go back to that.
Amadou Diallo, for those of you that don't know, an assault in Brooklyn, taken to the back of a police station, had something run up his butt. He was just,
Amadou
new meaning
Diallo
to
was the African man, was the Ghanaian person who got shot on his doorway, pulling out his wallet in front of his doorway.
Sorry, that's Amadou
40
Diallo.
shots. 40 shots.
Yeah.
40 shots were fired by police officers on this man's house where he lived while he was pulling out his wallet when they asked him for his ID.
So in other words, they asked him to reach into his pocket, and when they did, they shot him.
Exactly.
I mean, if you put that in the script, they would be like, dude, that's a hit. That sounds like a hit. Sorry.
So let's
Please.
let's take that as a microcosm of police training. Then, and how old were you and I? We were in our early 20s at that time. That was like, what, 93?
Yeah, I was just getting out of the Army.
Right? So here I am, 20 years old.
I think you were 20. Yep.
I was 20 years old exactly. I was 20 years old, and I hear about this guy getting shot on his doorway. As a black man, I'm thinking, yo, what did this dude do?
Because that's how they.
Like, why would?
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm programmed.
Well, that's how we're all programmed, right? We're programmed to believe
right.
the police are not going to discharge 40 rounds for unless the guy did something.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Why would the police unload 40 rounds on a dude on his doorstep? On his doorstep. And then later on, like literally the next day, we hear about what happened. And then the next day we hear that all he did was reach and pull out his wallet. And then the next day we hear how many shots hit him and how many shots hit the house. And you think to yourself, wait a minute.
Mathematically, how's that possible? How many rounds does the cop carry? I mean, sorry, go ahead.
How could all of you have been fearful for your lives? That means that for every officer that was there, say there were 5 of you, each of you unloaded 8 rounds. That's 40 shots.
It's almost like panic fire.
Exactly. You guys are trained to recognize.
We're doing operative words again.
Recognize and assess a situation. My uncle was in the Marines. If any one of us in my family, my brother John, my brother Bubba, my nephew Gavin, my nephew JJ, if any one of us were to go take a gun out of his gun locker, I don't like guns. I don't use them. There's a protocol.
Get you a nice hunting bow.
Clear the gun. I love bows. Clear the gun. Check the gun. Don't look over the trigger. Make sure that it's clear. Boom. Set it down. You learn how to handle a gun. And if you're being taught how to handle a gun as an everyday person by a Marine, I can imagine that as a police officer, you are being trained how to properly handle a gun and how to properly assess a situation. If you're going to learn how to handle a gun, you have to learn how to handle a situation, especially since you are not an enforcer of jurisdiction. You're an enforcer of the law and a person trained to de-escalate a situation from the onset, not as a last resort, from the onset.
The operative word.
And we've watched. I mean, one of my favorite shows to watch last year was The Rookie with Nathan Fillion, right?
Yeah. And
one of his first things that he had to do was he had to de-escalate a situation. And you see him with his hand up and his hand on his rifle, his hand up and his hand on his rifle, and he's trying to tell the person, calm down, calm down, calm down. Isn't that taught anymore? Is it?
No.
I know from my friends who are police officers, it is taught. Because when I talk to them, that's the first thing they say. I don't go into a situation looking to discharge my gun. I don't want to discharge my gun. That's the last thing I want to do. But if I have to protect myself and my partner, I will. I had 2 police officers here the morning that my mom died, Officer Vaca and Officer Wilson. Officer Wilson was, and I know police speak, so I know how to call a rookie in police speak, right? So I earmarked that, and Vaca snapped his head up. He's like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. All right, I'm cool with him. But he was cool with me from the time he walked in the door, because when you call 911 and someone comes in to assess the situation, they came in contrite, nice, understanding the situation. I had a family member coming over, and I was heated knowing that family member was coming over. You know what immediately happened? Because those two officers were in here and made such a great rapport with me, Vaca, who's the CO, who's the TO, the training officer for Wilson, goes, you know what? I'm going to come downstairs with you. And I go, why? You don't need to go to jail beating up the crap out of some family member because you're in a bad mood. Like, you know what? You're right.
Cool head.
You, sir, are right.
Come downstairs with me.
Because that is him protecting and serving. That is him doing his job properly, knowing full well that I am not in the right state of mind to probably deal with this family member. So he's going to protect me and my family member from my emotions. That's brilliant police work, right?
That's very good police work. That
is phenomenal police work, because that's him understanding the situation.
Also,
and if every police officer goes into and again, these are decisions that are split second. These aren't decisions that are made over an hour's time. No, this is instantaneous. That was an instantaneous decision. Granted, he didn't have his hand on his gun. It wasn't a high risk situation to begin with. But what he did in that instance was train this rookie officer in how to handle that similar situation, because that permeates from one person to the next.
Yeah, it so does. I think, again, like we were talking about before, good training takes over. And I think protect and serve used to be called serve and protect. There was a natural order of things. And I think if you are a police officer and your function is to serve, then you start to humanize people. And if you start to humanize people, you're not quick to pull out a gun and pull the trigger. And I think that's what's going on here. Flatbush Avenue wasn't always a rough neighborhood, okay? Flatbush Avenue for a while. I mean, because if you look at the side streets, you look at Midwood, Maple, Rutland, Chester Court, all of the side street were residential owners. They were basically Cosby kids. I mean, I'm not talking about Bill Cosby, but like the Cosby family type stuff. You know, get your butt. Yeah,
Rogers, Newkirk.
Yeah, stay off the block. Stay on the block.
Stay right here.
Yeah.
Be on the stoop. Don't be no further than half a block away. If I can't see you, you're not going any further.
I guess, okay, so the point I was trying to make was that timeline, and I'm going a little back further. The police who walked the beat knew everybody. All right, I didn't mean I was trying to avoid going La La Land on you. Like I was going to use Hermosa Beach as an example. Hermosa Beach.
No.
All of the cops know this person. They know this person's a bartender there. There's a homeless guy who walks around or whatever. They know the homeless guy. So nobody's going to get shot up because they're not in a situation where they're unfamiliar with, and their training takes over in a sense where they're there to serve and protect. So if you have a bunch of cops in highly populated areas, and of course the more populated it is, the less someone's knowing, and if they're not properly trained, and there's this underlying belly of fear of just someone because they're black, maybe based on FBI statistics, maybe based on the media perpetuation, maybe based on fearing what you don't understand, maybe based on not growing up and knowing a lot of black people just personally, then of course the cop becomes a sentry. The police officer, the public servant, reminding everybody out there, the public servant becomes a sentry. Becomes a fucking RoboCop. And I said on Monday on the show, I'm like, RoboCop is more compassionate than half of these people. You know what I'm saying? And I sound like I'm beating up on cops, and it's I know it's unfair, but I think the cops who are our friends understand where I'm coming from. All right, I'm not like some chick out there talking about all men are dogs because she got cheated on. Okay, that's not fair. Even though if she's in that moment, you guys shouldn't be offended.
You're a dog.
Yeah,
you're a dog.
Listen,
every guy's a dog. But
Black Lives Matter. Listen, Black Lives Matter. It is not the fucking time to say all lives matter. No, in this moment when someone's getting shot, where you know if they be alive, if they were white. That is the time to say Black Lives Matter. And for people that think Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter, just take this monetary moment to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up and allow someone to work.
I'm going to backtrack what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to build back up to Black Lives Matter. And this might cost me a lot of work.
It's a podcast. Listen, if we did everything everybody else's way, do you know how rich we'd be? Right?
Talk about that.
If I had to, if I sucked up,
we'll talk about that at the end of the summer.
Yeah,
we'll talk
okay.
about that like around Labor Day. How about let's backtrack. So you said improper training. I will correct that statement right now.
Do it.
And here's why. Training tactics have changed over the years. Training tactics in the 1920s for police officers, especially beat cops, aren't training tactics for police officers in the 1960s, beat cops, and aren't training tactics for police officers in the 80s, beat cops, or now. With each generation, with each iteration of the police force, with each commissioner that has come in, there's been different training tactics. However, there is a baseline. There's always a baseline of how you're supposed to interact with the general public once you have the shield on. Once you have the shield on,
you have a job
there's a
to
way
do.
you're supposed to interact.
You have a job to do. Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Public servants.
Exactly. You and I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. That was our primary formative years, right? Elementary, middle school, into high school.
That's right.
Cool.
Yep.
So for us, we always saw the police, especially for me growing up in the South Bronx. Like you said, they knew me. They knew I went to St. Thomas Aquinas Elementary School. They saw me walk my brother and sister to school. Sometimes they saw my mom walk me to school before they were born. They knew who I was. Hell, some of them lived in my neighborhood. Right?
It's a good job to have.
It was a great job to have back then. Late 80s, not so much. There was a police strike in New York. A few police officers went on strike because there wasn't a contract out there. And as a result, a lot of the guys who were being hired because they needed the bodies, though they went through the same training, might not have been evaluated on the way in the same way. And I think that is where the difference now stems. The difference now stems in the evaluation process of those going into the police force. The difference now stems that a person with I heard a story about a police officer who was a domestic abuser. It wasn't here in New York, but it was in another state. I can't remember. It was one of the middle states. I can't remember. It was Arkansas or Oklahoma, but he was a domestic abuser. There are telltale signs of those things. And the psych evaluations for police officers are supposed to weed those people out. That doesn't happen as easily anymore.
Yeah. Because
we as a society have become, and I blame a myriad of law enforcement prerogatives that have been pushed through time, from Reagan right up to Obama.
Yeah, agreed.
The Clintons passed the most idiotic bill I've ever seen. The 3 strikes rule, dumbest thing ever in the world.
It doesn't apply to Lindsay Lohan or Robert Downey Jr. How many strikes did that guy have? Listen, one of my favorite actors. But if we're talking, look, we're going to talk about the 80s and the 90s, right? Come on, you got to talk about the journey.
He was a bad boy. He was a bad boy.
Yeah.
But all those laws that were passed were designed to make it easier to police and to get more police in.
Well, I think the better cops you have out there, because you talked about the 1920s, you talked about the 50s, you talked about the 70s, and all of the changes. But the one thing that has stayed the same, that has stayed paramount, is allowing the police to use their discretion, whether to say, hey, you know, you did this. I'm gonna give you a break. Just slow down. Like, listen, the cop has a discretion. If he stops you, he could be like, look, I know you're in a hurry, but if you take this road, you get, and if you you do the speed limit, you make it on time. Are you willing to do that? Yes, sir. We good, okay? This is white man talk, okay? Because this doesn't happen with black people. So the more capable, no, but this is the road, Patrick. The more capable your police officers are, the better discretion they use. That's the point I was trying to make.
And again,
you want to talk about the 90s?
That lends to what I was saying, is that the evaluation process of who goes into the police force.
Salaries.
And
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Salaries. In the 90s, front page of the Daily News, they compared the salary of a clown. Like hire a clown for birthday parties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
a clown to a cop. The clown, you remember that? Front page of the Daily News. A clown
was making more than the police officer.
making more than the cop. So listen, basically, if you're gonna train clowns to do police work, this, and there's no safety guidelines. You're not in the circus. You're out on the street. What's gonna happen? Oh, now Jason's calling cops clowns. No, I'm not doing that.
No,
I'm saying that the hiring process and the salary is not attracting capable people who use better discretion. Patrick,
and again,
there's a time you and I made less than cops, but we're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, these are discussions that can go on and on and on.
At some point, we're going to talk about volleyball because someone asked me to ask you something during the podcast. Okay, Jeremy.
Yeah, actually, I have everything off except for my phone because I know that all my laptop, my tablet, everything would have interfered with this. So I'm focusing strictly on this.
Let me name drop for a second. Martin Seavey said, "What's up?" Martin is talk about college rival, huh? Claudio Mattioli from Brazil. Claudio, play for Banco de Brazil.
Obrigado.
Amber, former NYU player Dave Cole.
Dave! Holy cow!
George Soule and Alvin Thomas. All of them give you a shout out. All of them say what's up. Right now, we're streaming live on the Central Park site. We're streaming live on Volleyball Coaches and Trainers. And Jason Alla said he's going to plug us on the D1 thing. Eric Anderson also said he didn't.
Eric.
Yeah. He's
he is one of my favorite human beings in the world. I've worked with this man one time. Mm-hmm. I worked with him one A3 camp, and I can say this: I consider Eric like I consider you family because the man. And
I'm so glad to have met him.
Integrity.
I'm so glad to have talked to him.
I can't. That you can't find that level of integrity in a lot of people anymore.
He's a black Joe Rogan. He's like the conscience of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Or maybe black Jesse Ventura.
He has the wherewithal, the tact, the fortitude that if that man ever ends up being a head coach of a college program, and I'm plugging him right now for all you HBCUs looking for black men who can lead an African-American
Rooney
team,
rule the fuck up, dude.
who can recruit and knows what to do, and you better pay him well when you get him too. Eric Anderson's one of those dudes. Period. Flat out. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says.
I would say he's that dude.
HBCU, hire him.
Listen,
hire him.
Listen, I'm not trying to crap on coaches, but one of those dudes, I'll say, all right, there's a good dude, there's the Jag, just a guy, and then there's that upper echelon. He's one of those dudes, and for a while, I until I moved to California, I thought I was, and then I had to cowboy up, and eventually I became one. Like, look, LMU, we won the WCCs, okay, and the summer, so I'm doing my part too. But then there's that dude.
Yep.
Eric Anderson is based on what you said and Jason Olive told me. He's that guy.
He's that dude. Mm-hmm. Eric Anderson, Carl France.
Go ahead, give me three. I'm gonna give you three out here.
Christian Staple, over at McKendree.
Charlie Sullivan.
No insult. I'm only naming African American.
Okay, no, cool. Let's do it.
Because
we only got 5.
Sean Walker at Hawaii.
Yeah. Yep.
Theo Edwards.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay.
Nope.
I would be very mad if I didn't say my boy Ray Lewis at Benedictine in Arizona, winning an NAIA championship and turning down an offer from a big D1 to stay at that NAIA because of what he's built there.
And because of the way they're taking care of him.
They are taking care of him. But
look, Misty May is coaching Long Beach City College. You think she wants to leave? No, because they're taking care of her.
Yeah. I mean, there are. I mean, you hear it across the board, and now we're starting to get into the volleyball talk, which I totally appreciate. I'll start to show the CMSV a little more now. I've been hiding it with my political talk. I don't want to throw the CMSV under the bus because I love that school. That school is home.
Bro, you got on the shirt. Your love goes without saying, right? Look what I'm wearing. Look what I'm wearing.
Exactly.
Duncan Avery, represent.
Yep. Duncan's done a phenomenal job with that club ever since he started it.
Yeah.
We're I will say
all the coaches are this. All those coaches are savages too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say this. There are many African American coaches out there, male and female. And I mean that across the board of sports, not just volleyball, that have put in the same amount of time, that have put in the same amount of work, if not twice the work. Nikki, who is the head coach of both the men's and women's at McKendree, and Christian Staples' boss, puts in some work. She puts in work when it comes to recruiting. She puts in work when it comes to coaching. Yep. She is one of the strongest volleyball coaches I know. Let's not put in male or female. She is one of the strongest volleyball coaches I know.
Period.
Okay? Because if you look at what she's done with that program, both on the men's and women's side, she has elevated the level of volleyball in a school that did not have a tradition.
No. McKendree, right?
That is a mark of a good coach. We have a brother of ours, Justin Stack.
One of the more respected coaches in New York. Yeah. I like that.
There are people in our circle who would call, and these are people who've made it into qualifiers, AVP qualifiers. These are people who have won championships, won open tournaments, done all this
NCAA
stuff.
Final Four, yeah.
Who have gone to Justin and said, "Yo, dude, man, can you come train me real quick? Yeah, man, I need your help."
He's a savage. Savage.
Because that's the kind of person he is. Mm-hmm. There are people out there who will make a phone call to a man like Carl France, my mentor, my big brother, mm-hmm. the man who gave me this job. I tear up every time I talk about it, right? He's at NYU. He's the assistant at NYU.
Yep. Jose's assistant, yep.
Is the head coach. Yeah.
Talk
Jose
about
Peña,
a black man and a Latino.
Another phenomenal.
A black man and a Dominican.
Right. There are people who will call up Carl France tomorrow and say, "Hey, can you come do this HP tryout for us? Because we need someone who knows how to run an HP tryout last minute and can do it on the fly." And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, let me know. I got it." If he can do it. Now, Ray Gooden in the Illinois area, in the Chicagoland area, another great coach, another phenomenal coach,
dude.
Another phenomenal African-American coach.
Man,
when is Ray Gooden going to get his shot at leading a team as a true Division I head coach? I will throw a name out at you. And you and I talk about this. You and I used to talk about this man when we lived together in Brooklyn. Dexter Rogers.
Yeah, U.S.
down
national
in the Florida
team.
region. U.S. men's national team.
As an Oppo in the 90s. I remember they cut him to make room for
Brian Ivey, to bring Brian Ivey back.
No, he was an Oppo, Bob Samuelson.
Bob Samuelson.
And then in 96, You know how USA they like to plug in their West Coast college dudes. The guy that played with Karch for a while, Lambert. They cut him for Lambert.
Oh yeah, Mike Lambert. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
Dexter Rogers works with the Florida region, but he's part of USA. He is USA Volleyball, just like Tom Sorensen. If I'm an African, well, I know that he's a teacher down in the Florida area. I believe now he might even be an administrator. He might be a principal or something like that. I can't remember. I'll talk to him, but I'll ask him about that. But there goes someone that if you got that name with that cachet in your school, HBCU, I don't care who you are, HBCU, ACC, SEC, that's an Olympic athlete. That is an Olympic athlete. A man who has traveled the world and been on an Olympic team. He has coached guys into that level, inspired them. If I had that person sitting on my bench, it's like having Hugh McCutcheon. It's like having Ron Larson.
Yeah.
It's like having John Spirall, Fred Stern, Marv Dunphy, Al Skates,
Yep.
Doug Beal.
Yep.
The names that Ari Sellinger,
Very, very.
Mick Haley.
Very interested to see how Dane Blanton's going to do at USC.
All those names I just mentioned
Mm-hmm.
have all been USA national coaches.
And can't sniff an interview. Yeah. Yeah.
No, Marv's retired. Al's retired. Doug has stepped down as executive of USA Volleyball, but still involved with FIVB and the IOC.
Yeah. Dane, do you know Dane just got the job at USC this year?
At USC, yeah.
Yeah, the women's beach team.
He earned it. He was on that team that won 2 national championships.
Yeah.
And the Invitational championship that one year.
When Anna stepped down, it was between him and Eric Fenoy Moana. Listen, both Olympic gold medalists. And I don't like saying that.
Can't go wrong.
No, but I don't like saying that that automatically qualifies you to be a good head coach. No, Dane didn't just say I won an Olympic gold medal, I deserve to be a head coach. No, he served as an assistant. He was part of a club, and I think it was Elite. Or Fernouy might be with Elite Beach, with Holly McPeak. So it's like Dane did it right. You want to talk about true meritocracies and just giving an African American the opportunity? It was between him and whatever, and I'm so glad they went with Dane because this is as far as African American coaches for any sport, and we're just talking about volleyball, and now we're talking about beach volleyball. Meritocracy wins so few. I'm citing the one time. You know better than
I do. You know better than I do.
No, but you don't have to look for it. Actually, maybe you do have to look for it. I mean, just to find the one. We had to look just to find the one, and that's Dane. Dane, big up to him, man. Hope he does well next year. Sorry you lost your best player to the Olympics, Tino Gradino. Who, by the way, it's Aldous Lucy's goddaughter. Remember Aldous?
That's Aldous' goddaughter?
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's how I knew her. That's how I was covering BVNE, like a showcase between wound up USC's pairs against LMU's, and I ended up calling the match. And I was like, Aldous, can you find Tina in this picture? And he's like, what? He's like, what the fuck? You know how he is. Right? That's how he talks.
What are you talking about? Like he has that Will Shatner pause down to a T.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I agree. Again, I hearken back to the conversation I had with Kevin Barnett. It is one of those. It falls into, as you talk about a meritocracy, it falls into the idea that volleyball in and of itself is one of the few sports that athletically meritocracy stand to a hilt. You don't become this next level person until you put in the time. Jeff Samuelson is putting in crazy amount of time, and I remember when he was like one of the marquee names in the GAV, but he was also marquee name in EVP. Him and Casey Jennings played in the Mother Lode together. I mean,
Who was it? Who was this again?
Samuelson. Samuels. Jeff Samuels.
Jeff, yeah.
Jeff Samuels.
That's
Jeff
my
Samuels.
dude, yo. Talk about brother from another mother.
You want to talk about a dude who has put in. This is a guy who went from playing basketball to playing on the club team at Michigan State.
Lacrosse.
To being. But he also played club volleyball.
Yeah.
At Michigan State. And now he is one of the most recognizable African-American faces in beach volleyball.
Well, his blackness don't sneak up on you.
No.
You don't look at him.
He doesn't hide it.
Look, I could look at you and think, okay, maybe he's mixed. I could look at Eugene, who looks black, and you're like, no, he's Dominican. No, that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is Jeff Samuels. Jeff, used to live across the street from me. He moved back home, but for a whole year, we used to go when we had to go coach practice. You know what we did? We didn't text each other. We just yelled from our deck.
Yell across the courtyard to each other.
Jeff, we're leaving.
Yo, Jeff.
You need a ride?
Jeff, I'm about to go to practice. You ready?
You need a ride? But that's how literally close not just figuratively close. He also gave me my first coaching gig for on the AVP. Him and Dave Palm. Palm. They were the first team that I had. Look, I got to coach pros indoor and I got to coach college NCAA, this and that. And now I'm a professional beach volleyball coach. But my first gig was the two of them. They played together. They split block.
I mean, Jeff jumps out of the building.
Yeah.
Jeff just, good Lord. But
you would love him. You would go to dinner with that guy one night, dude.
Jeff and I have hung out at Pottstown. We've hung out and talked.
Okay, cool.
Jeff and I know each other well enough.
Did I steer you too far? You were talking about Motherload with Casey Jennings.
No. But again, there goes someone who put in the time. We're talking about meritocracies. Volleyball is the most meritorious sport out there. I personally think. I mean, if I'm wrong, someone help prove me wrong.
Getting in the building is not a meritocracy. How many?
I'm talking about as an athlete. I'm talking about only as an athlete. As an athlete, the meritocracy is.
I'll describe it like this.
The sport itself.
I'll describe it like this. How many flights of stairs you go is a meritocracy. True. If you're good enough, if you're strong enough and powerful enough and motivated enough to get to the 55th floor instead of the 35th floor, that's where meritocracy gets into play. However, knocking on the building's door and getting in, being trying to train with the right people so you can get better. That's the beginning of that. That's the grind. I mean, look, the McKibbins, they have success because they're brothers. All right. The Crabs had success because they're brothers. They could have easily, if they had the opportunity to train with Phil or Taylor at the time, had a chance to train with Phil instead of Nick or Todd, he would have, but he had to have the opportunity with his brother, play with Trevor, and both of them, by the way, AVP champs, multiple time FIVB champs. Now it doesn't even matter if you remember Trevor and Reed Pretty won Manhattan Beach last year. They won a gold series.
They did.
So how about that for a last minute pickups?
That's not a bad last minute pickup.
Yeah.
I mean,
Trevor's awesome too. Trevor, whenever I want
Trevor's a cool dude.
When I was covering.
Sorry. Well, I was gonna say is Jason Salmeri and I talked one time, and he was like, I remember growing up in Hawaii, and these guys were always around, and I mean, they're like my baby brothers. Yep. And that for me, I think, is where I stem the term meritocracy more from when it comes to volleyball, because
when you get the opportunity, you got to be good.
But you also become family to the people that are training you.
It's true.
You become. And they see your progression as not a person that they're coaching. Yeah. Bringing us way back to when we were talking about that student athlete who I had to go, I get it. You got stuff to do, right?
The student comes before student athlete.
Yeah, we're family. I understand where you're coming from. I see where your struggles are. And this also ties in with everything that we've been talking about when it comes to perceived equality compared to level equality, institutionalized racism or not. When you look at a person, do you see them as family and yourself and part of you, or do you see them as someone sequestered from you, away from your gaze? You talked about police officers being centurions, right? Because they're not related to the fact. They are not related to the area. They don't have a connection to the people. It's the same thing in every sport, but more in volleyball than any other sport.
No doubt.
You look at a guy or a girl in this sport, and you're going to go, yo, you know what? I like that dude. That dude's got heart. I like her. She's putting in work. Yo, I'm going to take that person under my wing, and I'm going to raise them up. Because I know where I'm at, and I want them to be better than me, because I see that in them. And then what started off as a mentor-mentee thing becomes a big brother, big sister, little sister thing.
No doubt.
Adriana Nora, Priya Lima. Great example of two people who I love. Right? Tampa Bay, they're down there. Adriana is a phenomenal volleyball player.
Yeah.
Phenomenal volleyball player. I met her a few years back when she was coaching for OVA, and I went to recruit two of her girls. I was like, where are those two girls going? And we struck up a friendship. If you ever see her in her workouts and Lima in her workouts, you know that Adriana's like, yo, I want to be her. And Lima's looking at her going, I want her to be me.
Yeah.
That's kinship. When you and I first met, Jason, no lie, when you and I first met, we hated each other.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we saw ourselves in each other and we're like, I'm not going to let this dude take my spot.
Nope.
I got next. I don't care what. And then you and I played together and we were like, oh, we're the same person, aren't we?
This is nice.
We are. Yo, how about you and I get together instead of fight against each other?
Yeah.
If we as a society start to do it that way, the way we do it in volleyball, the way we do it in sport, if we start to do it that way, I guarantee you change, though will be slow and arduous,
grinding,
it will be progressive. Because it's no longer me versus you. It's no longer us versus the world. It's us trying to get to where we believe both of us belong together. And that is the mistake that has been made over time.
Yeah. Well, again, it comes down to humanizing people, treating people like human beings. All right. I'm not going to name names. I mean, this is my podcast and I'm going to say what I want, so I'll leave names out of this. But there are a lot of volleyball players just in this zip code alone. I mean, some of them are nice and some of them are accommodating and this and that. Like I'll name names of positive people like Madison McKibben, right? When I was starting my podcast, it was a tube cast. My very first interview, the very first guy that stepped two. Sure, I'll do it. When I wanted to play the Manhattan Beach Open, and was looking for people to train with or whatever, he's one of the people like, hey, next time you want to do something like that, call me. And I'm like, look, all right, that was just my first and last. I wanted to play one before I got too old, blah, blah, blah. Rafu Rodriguez.
Yep.
He's all about those kids. If I need help, if I need an interview, he comes to the house. Mark Burek.
Mark.
So
local New York kid, Glendale, New York, right here in the center of Queens.
Yeah. And maybe I got a little Hawaii love for Trevor Crabb, but he's not on the same level as those guys as far as being interactive and humanizing people. But Trevor is very, very human. His kid brother's a space ghost, but I'm not saying he's not human. And he treats everybody the same. Like Taylor, look, when some of those big players are just hiding in their tent, Taylor's in the qualifier serving the people. You want some service before you're so he's in it all the time. So big up to him.
Yep.
But the point I was trying to make, there are some people, and for this, and because I'm in a good mood today, I'm gonna leave names out. I ain't calling on nobody. But there are some players, because they play this sport, or they do this one thing better than most, they look down on people when it applies to other things. Like I say what's up to this particular player, I'm just walking by because I don't sweat nobody. I'm from Brooklyn, so I go by and I'm like, hey, what's good? How you doing? Just walking by, right? So some people are like, hey Jay, what's up? And the other dude just goes kind of like waves his hand like he has to. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, yeah, sure, he has to. And that is Jason. If I don't say hi, he's just going to step up to me and say, hey, I said hi, you know? So, but there's some guys that just because they do this one thing better, they use it as this fake alpha male, this type A personality to be passive aggressive to somebody. And those are the people, because volleyball has this problem too. Indoor, you can name the indoor guys, but the beach guys, we'll go off camera and I'll just give you names because these people, they used to piss me off, Patrick, but they crack me up. You know why? Because the reasons why they got into it, they want to be known and they want people to think they're making money. They want people to think they're famous. First of all, everyone I just talked about, none of them have won an AVP title. Okay. Second of all, that none of them have any fucking money. You live in your mother's garage. All right. You live in your mother's garage. All right. Don't be looking at me like you make more than me. Don't look at me like you want to play big bank, take little bank. Trust me, I will take all your money and walk right through you like I don't even see you. So, but my point is, volleyball, just like the social topic we were talking about, volleyball has a little bit of that. But keeping glass half full here, there's so many people that are so the other way about it. You don't see them. I see them because I had to do media for a year. For Endor July, for volleyball one-on-one. I had to interview top players and talk about process and preparation. I'm not doing media anymore. I'm just doing this podcast. And the cool thing about the podcast, Patrick, is whoever wants to be on, just you say yes. And if you don't, you say no. I'm not gonna. It's not like real estate or it's not like media where you have to ask 25 girls out on the date and hope 3 of them say yes. Okay.
One of them say yes. Hope one of them say yes. Forget 3. You just hope one.
She said. But she goes maybe.
Just one.
She goes maybe. But wait, that doesn't mean no, right?
So I'm gonna see if you remember this time. And this is going way back.
I know you were thinking about this because you were cracking up when I was going through my diatribe.
Oh yeah, because you know what I'm about to talk about. He's your boy. You've won a championship and lost a championship in quads with him. Mm-hmm. He's your boy, but he's not my boy. He's not my boy at all. I excommunicated him a while ago because of some dumb stuff he said.
Some things you could do without. Got it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But I will give you this about your boy. This is me doing my Stephen A. impersonation right now. Let me tell you about your boy.
What's up with your boy, Jay?
What's up with your boy, Jay? He's one of those people that on the surface you look at him and you're just like, oh yeah, he's cool. He's cool. Even Corey, my
lefty Corey.
There are 3 lefties. Yeah, there are 3 lefties in my life I love. You, Corey, and Jason Donovan, right?
J Don, yeah.
Even Corey's like, yeah, man. I mean, he and I are cool, but he is kind of weird sometimes with this, and this. I'm like, yeah, that's those are the things I just don't want to deal with, right? So there was one time you and I were in the park. We both roll up like around the same time. You're like, yo, Pat. You want to play? I'm like,
sure.
I wasn't thinking about it, but yeah, sure. With you, Jay? Hell yeah. And he's on the court. He's like, yeah. You know what? And this was before I think you and him started going up to Lake George for those tournaments. He's like, yeah, you know what? We've got a good thing going on right now. We're really like training for the weekend. And you came out your face. And I said, have you ever won any of those? Then what are you training for?
Shit. I didn't mean to do that.
You didn't.
God damn.
That's a knee jerk, right? That's a knee jerk reaction to him being like, yeah, this is for the upper level guys. We're better than you.
And it was refresh my memory. Really, was there only one court?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is when we had one court, and they had just set it up. This is when they first brought in the big brown box with the lifeguard stand.
Yes.
And I'm just like, really, my dude? Really? Oh, okay. You're better than us. All right, cool. And you're like, have you ever won one of those? I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna shut up. Just gonna shut up. I'm gonna get dressed. And Justin rolls up. Justin rolls up. He's like, yo, 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 yo. Yo, let them play, man. You know these guys can ball. Let them play. And Teddy was there, and Mark was there. And I've played with Mark, and I've won with Mark. I'd never played with Teddy. You had played with Teddy a couple of times, and the two of them were like, they just gave him this side eye, like, really, dude, really? You're talking about one of the heaviest hands to ever play in Central Park, and a dude who jumps out of the sand like he's jumping indoors, and you're just like, nah, man, I got next. There are people like that in every sport, but it was his elitism already. He was already in his mindset, because I think by that time he was already like a high class professional in his field. Notice I didn't say his field. Because like you, I'm not going to drop names. I don't have any reason to drop names like that.
It's a good day, Pat.
So over the years, he's done a lot for Central Park volleyball. Like, I mean, the man has put together fundraisers. He put together committee meetings. He spearheaded discussions with RJ about how to make sure the park is more inclusive. Yet he's also one of those people who in the back door is like, yeah, we don't want these people here. And when I say these people, he's talking about not African Americans or minorities, lesser volleyball players.
Yeah.
We don't want lesser volleyball players here. We want the best of the best. Until he moved and started playing and practicing someplace else. And then it was like, oh yeah.
You mean an actual
I'll
venue?
regulate this.
Yeah.
I'll regulate this from here. But you guys should. It's all you guys now.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, dude? For years you established this little hierarchy thing, and now you're the one chastising the hierarchy? Come on, guy. Come on.
Yeah, you're gonna have to miss me with that one.
Come on,
so
guy. Let's go.
All right, here's the problem, and now I remember this because I guess back then I went off on so many people. I just don't. I'm like, who? Which one was that again? Remind me again. I went off on this person because if he's talking about the importance of training and trying to educate me on the importance of training and timing or whatever, it was my turn to educate him. If you're playing in a big tournament, 2 days before the tournament, do you want to be training in Central Park?
No.
Where do you want to be? Where do you want to train? Say it with me, Patrick.
You want to go to the beach where the winds will affect you.
Sunrise, sunset, Oceanside, Central Park. Right now, we got but there's only 2 hours of sunlight, maybe 2 or 3 hours of actual sunlight in Central Park. So now you don't have the right shades, polarized shades. So different sun, different wind. So the point I was trying to make, you trying to get your game on Monday or Tuesday or whatever, just play around, just get reps. But if you're being a true professional, and if you're trying to educate other people on what it's like to train to be an elite player, you shouldn't fucking be in Central Park on Thursday. You should not be 2 days before the actual tournament. You should not be in Central Park. 2 days, you should be out there, and the night before you do another walkthrough with different partners, maybe play a game to 15, 2 games to 15, rally. Trust me, I wasn't even a beach guy back then, and I knew that. I used, for those of you listening to this podcast, Patrick and I used the beach to cross train for indoor because our indoor muscles, like the 4-step approach for an indoor jump, beach muscles strengthen you for that. Beach players don't jump higher indoor. They don't jump higher indoor because their muscles are not trained for the broad jump or for the approach and for that pivot foot to launch off. Okay, because if you did an indoor approach in the sand, you're just gonna sink in on the jump and lose inches on your height. So the only people that benefited from cross training beach were the indoor players. We came back higher. All right. Defensively, we were stealing free balls from each other and just ridiculous. Good problems, right, Patrick? Just crashing into each other.
Phenomenal problems.
So
my passing went from subpar to par.
So So the reason why I was, and the good thing, me and him are really cool right now. But the reason why I brought it back was because, and this is on the Central Park site too, so he's gonna be listening. This is shared, but
He might be. He might be.
But the cool thing, the reason why we could talk is because he knows I see both ways. He knows that I understand that you, let's say he wasn't having a tournament. And there's just like really, really good players, and you want to keep that going. If I'm in his shoes, I feel the same way. I'm like, dude, I want to play a bunch of good games. I don't want this scrub rolling up and ruining it. But at the same time, I have to understand it's a public park. It's a public park with only one court at that time, even if there's just two courts, and the other court's full. It's a public park, so you can feel both ways. You can take an actual position with your mouth, but understand that there's two sides of the coin. You came out there, some people work a 9 to 5, they're working stiffs, and they're trying to moonlight beach volleyball, trying to get their training in. So I understood where he's coming from, and that's why we could talk, because there has to be this level of understanding. But when someone's like, I don't have the first clue why you're here or what you think you're doing here or why you think we're in the same whatever, dude, you could go kick rocks. You could go suck a fat one on that one. So how's that for Stephen A. Smith reference? Go kick rocks.
You could go kick rocks.
So but that's the problem I have with some of the players. But listen, this is a podcast and we're just chilling, we're just talking shit, and because at the end of the day, volleyball, very much like MMA, the players are very accessible. They're very positive. They're all about their fans. If you ever watch I'll just use the UFC as an example, or even Bellator, they're fan friendly, dude. And in California, all of these guys train in Redondo. I ran into Uncle Creepy, the guy that fought Demetrius Johnson for the lightweight title for the inaugural or whatever. I can't remember his name. I only remember Uncle Creepy because he had the mustache. He had the mustache like curl, like twinge like this. I ran into Ortiz. Who fought Max Holloway for the belts. He goes on a skateboard, comes to karaoke. So these guys are accessible, and volleyball players, just like MMA artists, are very accessible, and that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean that our sport again, our sport lends to the meritocracy. Our sport lends to acceptance. Mm-hmm. Our sport tries to attain equality to an extent. But systemically, outside of what we know, it's no different than the rest of society. It in and of itself will allow but so much growth, and then once you come over the hump, you become that next symbol. I feel. And I don't want to put this on Dane. And Dane is a good friend. I love Dane. Dane was my very first interview ever for
AVP New York.
Ever when I had my webpage for my men.
Yeah, he's good like that.
And we met years ago through Jason Olive. When Jason Olive
was doing the soaps,
the JO tournament. Here, the very first JO tournament here in New York.
Yeah, and Chelsea Piers.
Down at Pier 25. Pier 25. Yeah. And that was right around the time that he was supposed to be on a TV show and didn't get on that TV show. And I made a bad joke, and he goes, "But I wasn't telling you anything." And everyone laughed, and I was just like, "Damn it, you got me." But Dane.
That's JO.
Dane is one of those guys that cracked the echelon, not because he was African American, but because he was Dane. And he was true to Dane Blanton. And he was true to being who Dane Blanton intended to be. And for that, he has brought the rest of us up with him unintentionally. And even if in the back of his mind, even if in his subconscious, it was intentional.
Yep. And what a crazy story, huh?
Yeah, it was done because he knew where he needed to be for himself. And because he pushed that way, it carried the rest of us with him. Tiger Woods carried the rest of African American people with him through golf. Serena Williams, Arthur Ashe.
Beating a lot of odds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and again, this leading back to what I was going to say is Dane, I equate more to Arthur Ashe than anyone else in history when it comes to our sport in comparison. Because if you're an African-American youth and you're looking for an example of what a great volleyball player can be in your sport, there are a myriad of other African-Americans you could find, but there is no symbol outside of Dane Blanton if you're an African-American male.
Agreed. And I mean,
if you're an African-American female, you can find Daniel Scott Aruda.
Right.
You can find Tara Cross Battle.
Yeah.
You can find a Jennifer Williams.
And who's the chick from Texas?
UCLA.
Who's the chick from Texas that played in the last two Olympics?
Destiny Hooker.
Yeah.
You can find an Annette Davis.
Megan Hodge.
A Megan Hodge, a Jenny Johnson-Jones. You can find them if you're an African-American female, though they may not get the same pub as, you know, a Jordan Larson or a Michaela Fecki.
Yeah.
You know?
But
they're still there as a symbol. But for African-American males, there aren't a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Robinson at one point. The aforementioned Dexter Rogers. Right now, you can say that Ben Patch.
Yeah.
Even Garrett Magotutia could be considered more Hawaiian Samoan.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for an African American male symbol, it's Dane Blanton.
It's true.
And
he weren't him and Fennoy like journeymen at that time? They weren't even. I mean, think about Patrick. This is the year 2000. You're in Sydney. I'm going to take you back. All right. Scenario. Yep. Eric Fennoy-Moana and Dane Blanton. I don't even know how the point system was, or if they won a play-in. I think they won. There's two ways to get in. You have to have points, or their qualifier tournament. So I think maybe they won a qualifier tournament, because I don't even think they played together long enough to have points. But they were the top team in the AVP at the time. They were really?
Dane and Fennoy were the top team in the AVP at the time when they went to Sydney. All
right. Good. Got an education. Thank you. But my point is, they're in the Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that follows the sport of beach volleyball, even indoor players that follow beach, how many people thought that those two were going to win the gold? None of us.
Not a lot.
None of us.
I mean,
none of us, because that time period, the rest of the world, particularly Brazil, is caught up. All right, the rest of the world caught up, and Brazil passed. Avalanche, you said? I said truck, or tank.
Yep.
I didn't. Look, you got Ricardo and Emmanuel. I'm an American. I bleed red, white, and blue. I got a big old flag right here to my left, and I'm going to point the camera out in a minute. Anyone that needs to prove myself. Big old glory, right? Big old flag over there.
Oh, glory.
I'm cheering for Dane and Fennoy, but am I picking up, man? Jay, you want to put some money on it? No.
No, Ricardo and was it Eduardo?
Emmanuel.
Yeah. Who was it? Emmanuel.
Yeah.
They were the number one team in the world at the time. They were the number one team in the world.
But just to get to that finals,
who'd have thought the 3 seed? Who'd have thought the 3 seed was going to come out and beat the 1 seed?
2-0.
Yeah. The emotion that happened. I remember the emotion that happened.
But isn't that where a black man cements his immortality? Where that's where he's not black anymore. He's Dane. Because if you think 3 years before that, he's trying to play a game in Florida, and then someone's telling him, "Yo, dude, the basketball courts are over there." That was only 3 or 4 years before he hit the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So when does Dane become? I think Dane becomes Dane, black, regardless of black or white. When you win an Olympic gold, Fennoy-Moana, nobody trips over the pronunciation anymore. Fennoy-Moana, I should be getting paid by the consonant, okay? Or the vowel.
True.
Paid by the vowel.
But no, I agree with you. I don't know. I don't know if that's the causality. I don't know if
Serena, right?
winning the gold.
Sorry, go ahead. No. Let's stay with Dane. We'll get to Serena in a minute.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the causality there. I don't know if maybe for us as a society, maybe for us as a people, Dane became Dane when he won the gold medal.
Yeah.
But for Dane, he was always Dane.
Yeah.
And winning the gold medal was cementing everything that he was shooting for. Getting the opportunity to represent the United States.
I mean, there's no game after that,
gold
right?
medal match.
There's no game after that. We don't play the winner of Mars.
Is there an Olympics of the universe? Because I don't think there was. I don't think because him and Fenoy didn't split block then. It was strictly him.
No, they did.
It was him.
No, they did.
They did.
Well, in the finals, they did.
So you got to think that both of these guys, Dane's 6'3", Fenoy's 6'2", and they're split blocking.
Yeah, my eye test says that. Yeah.
And the fatigue factor.
Big court.
Oh yeah, big court.
Side out.
Ooh, 30, 20.
This is 2000.
Was it side out? I think it was already rally.
No, rally came in 2001 for indoor and outdoor.
Okay.
After, because I remember you played for City Tech in 2000, and the year after, when she left, I'm like, God damn. What, we can receive serve? I got to train my kids to receive. What? Watch out for let's serve. What? That's not a carry. That's a double instead of a carry.
Let's not get into us old heads when that rule first came into play, and we were just like, what?
Just talk about uneducated too. The refs don't know the difference between a throw and a double.
I will never discuss that. Mm-hmm. I will never discuss that.
We don't have another 2 hours. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh God. But Fenoy and Dane as a team were iconic for our country. No, correction. Were iconic for our sport. Fenoy and Dane were iconic for our sport. I don't know if they were iconic for our country.
They're not transcendent.
They didn't get a chance to. The same way the U.S. men's national team in '84 and '88 weren't transcendent. Though Karch Kiraly himself has become transcendent, that team that was captained by Chris Marlowe back then,
'84, yeah.
That team that was captained by Bob Stavrtlik and Karch hasn't.
Just
you've got to think that the sport itself should lend to transcendency, but it hasn't. The athletes become transcendent after a certain period of time because their names become synonymous with the sport.
And the question is, at that
St.
point,
John Smith
mm-hmm.
became transcendent of beach volleyball because he was the unchallenged, crowned king of the beach for so many years.
Him and Stokey. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can say Smith without saying Stokos. You can say Stokos without saying Smith. And you wouldn't even say Smith, you'd say St. John.
Agreed. Or Karch, right?
Or Karch.
Karch played with Steffes, who you're going to remember, right?
Yeah. You remember Karch. That's transcendency when your name is transcendent from thing to thing to thing. Dane has become transcendent after play.
That's
I don't know if a lot of people remember outside of our generation who will tell the stories of who he is. Now he's going to become lore. Back to that conversation of just how hard this guy worked. Pomona High School, UCSB, busted his tail on the beach, gold medalist. One of the best in the AVP, best blocker in the AVP, by the way. He did win that award. Gold medalist.
Yep. Nobody else to beat. No worlds to conquer. Right? Listen, I heard the gravity on the moon's pretty good, man. I'd like to go out there and test my vert. I mean, even then, I'm still gonna lose the Dane by like 12 points.
One of my favorite stories to tell
You know, Eric still plays.
Yeah.
Greg Faulkner invited me to play fours, and just watching Eric Fenoy warm up still looks good. You know,
I mean, he played last year. He played in the AVP last year.
Actually, he played 2 years ago. It was Jeremy Casebeer, Hermosa Beach.
Jeremy Casebeer. Yeah.
You know, someone came up to me. They're like, listen, I got a question for you. Who's that guy in the court? What relation is he to Eric Fenoy Moana? Is he like the younger brother? And I'm like,
nah, dude, that's Eric Fenoy Moana.
That's one of the biggest compliments I could give him. He's got to listen. He ain't gonna he's got a really cocky side to him, but it doesn't mean his love is not unconditional. He possesses unconditional love and love for the sport that everybody can relate to. We could all speak that same language because, I'm not talking about who's perfect and who's that. I'm not, I ain't going that route. But I like what he did. I like that he played with Jeremy. I don't know how he got in. He got in as a wild card. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean. But I think Jeremy had points for both of them. So go ahead.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories to tell, and Justin knows about this story. Justin Stack knows about this story. I think I've told you this story, but I've said it countless numbers of times. Belmar AVP, and this was when Bud Light was sponsoring I think Bud Light and Cuervo were sponsoring
6-figure first prizes, dude.
Yeah. 2001, was it 2001? Yeah, it was 2001.
Well, they did it for a long time.
Yeah. So 2001, Belmar Open. Two of our friends, Evan Silverstein and Elvis Rodriguez, two of the shortest men to ever play volleyball together. Elvis was blocking, Evan was playing defense.
Elvis pulled a lot. They basically dug everybody from the ground. Guys hitting straight down and they're just picking it up.
Pushed Fenoy and Dane to a third set tiebreaker.
First round, yeah. Did they? I gotta look that up. I do know
they pushed them.
I do know that Elvis qualified once, and I do know that Evan qualified, I think, with Amari Velasco. And I think that Tim McNichol qualified with Marty Velasco. And I think
Tim qualified with Igor Kinchin.
Oh, Igor, right. Yeah, but I do remember Evan playing Karch and Lambert. And the first game was 24-22. And then the second game, Karch and Lambert cracked the code. But and I didn't go, but all of our friends were saying that Karch had a hard time picking up his shots. Evan his court vision and his ability to scan the court was uncanny, And
that's the Dolly Banana right there, baby.
Hated that dude. Hated that dude in Central Park. Hated that dude in Central Park, dude. Thought he was a weasel. But let me tell you something.
One of Smithtown's best. I will never deny that man had one of the prettiest platforms I've ever seen.
He's just
freaking
freaking rad.
Quick as lightning. Quick as lightning.
I see him every summer. The last 3 summers, because like AAUs are in California, Junior Olympics, USA Volleyball, and of course the AVP first. So wherever those big tournaments are they're kind of, and not to mention our BVNE Get Noticed showcases. So there's this period from June all the way up to the last week of July. Evan just stays. He lives in Hawaii, but he stays at a hotel in Hermosa Beach, the beach house, and just recruits. He's the assistant coach at the Hawaii Beach team.
Hawaii, yep.
Yeah.
For the Beach Wahine. Yeah.
He ended up recruiting our program director's daughter for a little while, Presley. Duran's daughter wound up shortest 5'3", shortest player to get a scholarship, man. So, but yeah, so I see Evan all the time now, so, and we're cool,
Here's my question to you. And, my perspective here in New York is completely different to your perspective in California. But I know that all the groups are really tight-knit when it comes to coaching, when it comes to player evaluations, when it comes to exchanging of ideas. I have had a great fortune over the past,
seems like
12 years.
Seems like a decade and a half, right?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, you're right. It will be a decade. It will officially be almost 2 decades.
Yeah, a decade and a half ago, you had Mount St. Vincent dumped on your lap, and you did a terrific.
Not dumped. I was happy to take that position.
Yeah.
I will never say it was dumped on me. I had a potential All-American. I had 4 guys who were all conference. All of them ended up being 4-time all
back then,
conference.
EIVA. That was Division 1, 2, and 3.
No. Actually, that was at the start of the NECVA.
Okay.
And Phil Gallagher ended up being a 2-time All-American just on sheer will. The guy was just good.
So what? Sorry, what was your question? Because you know me, I drive us both off the cliff again.
It's. I have had the great fortune of learning, and I know that you worked with Mayer. I know that you worked with a few other coaches, Alan Knipe. I've got Jay Hosick here. I've got our brethren, Sam Schweisky. I've got Rummy. I've got Carl France.
Wow, Hunter alumni.
I've got Danny Goncalves.
Yeah.
I've had some great
Talk about hardworking
minds.
coach. Yeah.
Yeah, great hardworking minds to tap from. What's it like being in California where, sometimes the rumors are noses are up in the air when you're from the East Coast and when it comes to your volleyball knowledge?
Yeah.
What has it been like for you just over these years, and you've been there a while now, getting acclimated and getting your foot, you talk about getting your foot in the door. Like, how have you gotten your foot in the door and how have you pushed through for yourself?
All right. Bear with me on this one because this might be a little bit funny. I'm in a bar, a pub. I see a good looking girl. I get dragged into the clubs by you and Ricardo to dancing. I don't want to go dancing or whatever. Right? Okay. And this is going to go full circle and you're going to appreciate this. All right.
I'm already appreciating it.
All right. There's a hot girl and I want to talk to her. But because everybody's grabbing her ass and everybody's like trying to push up on her, by the time a nice guy, like a nice fella like me comes up, wants to step 2, she's already got her shield and she ain't got time for that nonsense. Now, while I'm telling this story, I want you to equivocate how that applies to coaches and like people trying to get with them or people trying to suck up their knowledge or whatever. So for me, I'm like, I don't want to go out here. I don't want to go to the club anymore. All of these guys want to act like hard rocks because they're drinking too much. All of the girls think they're the best thing that happened since fucking Madonna. Why am I here? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go clubbing anymore. So, but the biggest solution I got to was when I see a girl and she sees me and I see her, ignore her. Don't thumb my nose. Don't roll my eyes. Just look at her. You see her. She's there, and you keep doing your thing. And if she's still there at some point, and if she looks up again, at some point, you're going to wind up next to each other and you're going to wind up talking to each other. And that's what happened with beach volleyball here. Indoor volleyball is still a big wall. And I really appreciate Alan Knight for giving me the opportunity. I only worked with him once, but that was a big role as a court evaluator for high performance tryouts. Chi got me that in. Chi was like, I got a guy from New York. You'll love him. This wisecracking dude from Brooklyn. So basically, when you see the hot girl, Patrick, and you see her, maybe she sees you, and you ignore her, 2 things are going to happen. Eventually, or 3 things are going to happen. You never talk. 2, she's going to be like, how dare that motherfucker ignore me? I'm all that. Who does he think he is? And you're laughing because we know women like that. The women, they want you to pay attention, and then when you do, they want you to pay attention so they can ignore you. They want you to pay attention so they can ignore you. All right. So that's the second thing that could happen. The third thing is she be her, you be you. And if you magnetize towards each other where a conversation happens, then it happens. So for 50% of how I got my foot in, it was just me being myself, sitting next to someone, and maybe we're watching a tournament together. This is how I met Duran. There was a juniors tournament. She's watching her daughter play. And I'm like, oh man, she do a better job if she just held her platform. And she's like, you're an indoor coach, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, because if you remember like the beach games in the 2000s, everybody's just wailing at the ball left and right. Nobody's holding their platform. And now because of the rest of the world is doing it right, like that little that 1 second hold that makes you feel like a goofball, but it's done right.
That little beat. So
got into a conversation with her about volleyball, just casually. Didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was. She knew I wasn't trying to get with her for any reason. I have a daughter or whatever. And I'm like, I just moved out here, and I think I want to transition to beach coach a little bit. And she's like, you know what she said? She said, you got a resume. And I'm like, yeah. So I gave her my resume. And you know what this woman does? She doesn't ease me in. She doesn't let me coach like the tiny little people, the 11-year-olds, just learning how to, you got 11-year-olds using their hands out here, but just learning how to like approach 3-step. You know what this chick does to me? She
throws you in with the 18-year-olds.
Yes.
Go ahead, go coach them.
We call them the knuckleheads. We call them the knuckleheads because they're already going to college. This one got a scholarship. This one got whatever. They got so good so fast. They got shit figured out. And anyone under the age of 30 that tries to tell them how to play, they're not going to listen to them. So I'm an old school guy, but I look mad young. So the first day, she sticks me with them, and I do a drill called the BS drill. Just bump, set with your hands, walk, roll shot, cross court. So the south side's going cross court, the north side's going line. So now there's fluidity for this eight girl drill, which is rare because in the summer we only have 4 girls or 6 on the court. We're more coaches, more personal attention. So I tell them to shag, and there's a girl named Georgia, and she's walking, she's not running. I'm like, Georgia, you walking in my practice? So Georgia does one of these. Look at this. She goes, like, give me a break. And so I have a decision to make, and I'm only 10 minutes in, Pat, and I do this. I go. And then I call Presley over, her daughter. Presley, come here for a sec. And I'm like, do you know what the plank is? And he says, yeah, coach, it's like this. So she gets down on the plank. And I'm like, very good. She tries to get up. I said, no. So I said, stay there. Stay there. And I said, what's your name? Serena? Plank. What's your name? Natalie. Natalie, cool. Plank. Why? Why is not in your vocabulary? Plank. And then when I say that, now the parents are looking up. And now all the other kids in the other court stop. When I said, why is not in your vocabulary? So when Georgia goes into the plank, I said, not you, them. You shag, they can get up. When you're done shagging, they can get up. So now everyone in the plank is looking at her like this. All of the younger kids are looking like this, look like, cool. The parents do this. And Duran claps her hand and says, I fucking love this guy. So Duran is 33% of my foot in the door because she's in charge of all the youth and the recruiters come to her. She doesn't go to them. Okay? Mm-hmm. And now we're national. We're in Georgia, now we're in Florida. 33%. Here's the other 33%. I visit Redondo Union High School and I visit Duncan Avery. And I go to Mira Costa and I talk to Mike Green, who is not the coach, but he's Mike. I forgot his last name, but Mike. They won in the '80s, and he's been a staple ever since. And now he coaches the tiny people.
Mike Greeley?
No, Mike. Something that's not. I'll give you his name in a minute. I'll look it up. But Mike was one with Mira as a coach in the '80s. And he's been a staple ever since. Redondo Union was coached by Duncan Avery, who was a player who was just played for Allen Ipe at Long Beach State. So Mira Costa, they're nice, but not interested. Redondo Union, hey, I'm all set with coaches, man, but it's really nice to meet you. 2 days later, so I think I strike out both ways. And then I get a phone call from Duncan saying, hey, I got a club team. I need an extra coach. So Lewis Richard, talk about black athletes, outside hitter for Long Beach State. Mm-hmm. It's coaching the 15s at the time, So we got good coaches. We got Chaffins, we got Norman. So he gives me this opportunity in my first year with them. We're ranked 41st in California, but by the time we get to nationals, we get as high as 5th in the country. And like you said, meritocracy comes into play, and either I'm a good coach or I'm not. So that's the other 33%. My last 33%. 2 months before I move, Kelly's like, let's go on a volleyball vacation. Big up, South of the Border Vacations. Big up, SOB. Fucking Davenport, I love you to death. So Kelly goes for the tournaments. I go there to exhibition against the pros. And the pros are John Mayer, Kevin McCulloch, Allie McCulloch, his wife, Ty Trambly, who just won Chicago, I think, with Brad Keenan. Betsy Flint, who just won Cincinnati that year with Kelly Larson. And if I named all 6, that's all 6. Derek Olson, who's now the head coach at
Derek
Cal,
Wilson.
Cal Berkeley, or co-head coach. So we have this chance play against the pros, and I play against John Mayer, and I got Ty setting me. Mark Cairns, Mike's brother, Mike Cairns' brother. You know Mike and Emma?
Yep. I know Mark. I know Mark, and I know Mark through other people. But
so
yes.
we play one game to 15. And John's serve to space is so fucking voluminously high. He's serving my right shoulder. I'm lefty because he's a lefty and he knows how to beat lefties. So now I'm just wailing balls like a supermodel. So the first 4 points, like one's an ace and a bunch are bringbacks, which by the way, Ty brings back with his hands. Okay. It's shanked this way. He gets on one knee and just boom, it's clean. So, so there's 2 particular plays and this is 33%. It happened in 2 plays. John goes to hit a ball cross court. One off the one block and I'm in the hatch waiting. I know it's coming. I'm waiting in the hatch. He hits it so hard it hits the ground and it bounces in front of me. And I just protect. You know how you protect your nuts because you know you might get teabagged. So yes, that's the look. You lean back, your head goes this way, and you protect. It just goes whoosh like that, and it hits off the ground, and everyone just starts cracking up. But that wasn't it. One play later, Patrick, Ty Trambly sets me. Cairns is blocking line. John's in a hatch, and I hit the exact same ball back at him. And you know how sometimes the ball bounces off the sand a particular way where it just goes straight up?
Yeah.
It looked like his was a little bit better, but it looked like the same play. It was a lefty, and then the lefty, and everyone just goes, and everyone stops laughing. They're just like, oh shit. And then John just looks at me, and John, he's not like an exaggerated guy. So you'll see like this, like a little nod. So he's sitting by himself at dinner. I go to talk to him. Breakfast the next day, he's sitting by himself. You know what? You don't want to bother the guy. You talked to Zero off the night before. He pulls his tray and he sits up next to me in breakfast and we pick up the conversation. So we have 2 conversations. And then when I moved to California, he's like, hey, I love the video you've been doing for like YouTube and Varsity Sports. Why don't you come on to LMU as my director of operations? You only have 2 jobs: film all the games and practices, and give me 4 things you like about and 4 practice and 4 things where you think we need to get better. Because you knew I've been coaching indoor for 21 years, and he's an indoor player. He's an NCAA champ at Pepperdine. He played with Sean Rooney. So 33, Patrick, how did I get my feet in the door? 33% was just right place, right time with John Mayer, and the other 66%, I reach out, I talk to some people, and just like the podcast, you're either interested or you're not. It involved a lot of luck, okay? Because Duran could have been like, no, I'm all set, and Duncan could have not made that phone call. I just came from being lucky. And like you said, Gordon Park spoke at my graduation, said, be prepared for luck. For the people listening at home, my BFA is in acting. Volleyball opportunities sometimes can be compared to acting where the best person doesn't always get in the door. Meritocracy only takes place after you get in the door, right? Yep. And then you get to run the steps, and then like volleyball, either you win or you lose. You're either good or not. I mean, that team was screwed up, but it doesn't matter. Either they don't care. Either you win or you don't. So how I got in was luck, but I used the fuck out of it. Look, LMU became WCC champs the next year. So I did my part. I was part of that, right? Endless Summer Beach Volleyball, we lead the country in recruitments per capita. We have 4 girls going to USC, 2 Long Beach State, 1 Arizona, and 1 GCU. So I did my part. And being 5th in the country on a startup program with Evolution, I did my part. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it's absolutely what I was hoping to hear from you, because I remember you and I used to get into some arguments,
of course,
discussions, heated, about why people were and weren't getting their shots. And the reason I asked you that question is to bring it back to what we were talking about volleyball and
we've come a long way.
Equality.
We've come a long way for me to say you're right.
Yeah. And I remember back then, and I'm going to paraphrase this. I remember back then, you were like, they just don't want someone like me. Like, Jay, that's not what it is. It's not what it is. They don't know you. They didn't know me. I mean, Carl France opened up a lot of doors for me.
And you were prepared for luck.
More than I can ever thank the man for, period.
Yep.
Funny thing is, I always come back home. I always come back to CMSV. This is my third stint with CMSV. I was head coach, 11th in the nation by the time I walked out the door. Left, did D2, did two D2 teams, went to City Tech, my alma mater, coached them, went back.
Yeah. I think Eater became a good coach because of you.
I don't know if Eater became. I think Eater's just Eater.
He won Coach of the Year 2 years after you.
But he also won Player of the Year 2 years after I left City Tech. So I don't think.
And there's only 4 people that have done that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I will never attribute Eater's success to me.
Okay, I get that.
I think Eater's success is Eater's success.
Right.
And I appreciate you saying it that way. But and I knew why back then you fought against the idea that it's got to be more. It comes back to the meritocracy thing. It's like, I've busted my hump here in New York. I've done what I needed to do here. I've put in the work.
I took it as far as it could go.
Yeah. And part of you took it personally. It's like, why? Why not me?
It's my weakness.
And I think that's everyone's weakness. I think that's just a human weakness. Everything becomes personal at some point. And
because your escapism becomes your when it becomes your career, it hurts.
Yeah.
It fucking hurts.
Or when it's just your life in general. Bringing it full circle, because I'm looking at the time and my friend is going to be really mad because I'm going to be super late, but super duper late. But bringing it full circle, all the way back to where we began the conversation today.
Please.
Right? Meritocracies work when you're in the door. African Americans have never been in the door.
Amen.
When we got to the door, it was slammed in our face. When we jammed our foot in the door, you stubbed it with a hammer. When our bodies were halfway through, you found reasons to punch us in the eye to get us out. Now that we're in the door, you're trying to kick us out. And as a society, as a people, when you get abused systemically over and over, when you get told to your face that the person next to you who looks exactly like you is not someone you can trust, and you start to believe it, you are wounded, you are hurt. And just like anyone in this world, just like anything in this world, when you are wounded is when you are most dangerous. You will attack, because it is either fight or flight. And we have tried running away enough times.
There's nowhere else to run.
Now, fighting is the only way we know to survive.
There's nowhere else to run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of volleyball, African Americans are slowly catching on to this sport. Caribbean Americans have always held on to this sport.
I learned from them.
I'm Caribbean American first. I'm American, of course, born and raised in New York City, but the first 7-8 years of my life I was in Haiti. English wasn't even my first language growing up. I didn't speak English till I came back to this country. You'd never know.
It's true. Yeah.
But
they're coming.
I grew up watching soccer. I grew up watching volleyball. I have family who were on the Haitian national team. Family by marriage.
Yeah, of course.
I have friends who were on the Haitian national team. They all live here in America. They're all Americans.
Why do you think the East Coast indoor scene is so fierce? Our immigration population.
Dominicans, Haitians,
the Russians,
Jamaicans, Russians,
Polacks,
Polish, Brazilians, Mexicans, Chinese, Korean.
That's our whole youth scene. Our whole youth scene is Chinese.
If you look at New York City as a whole, we have never been a homogenous volleyball scene. We are made up of the tableau, of the quilt that is the melting pot of what America has always been.
Isn't that great?
But as soon as that melting pot enters something homogenous, we are immediately looked at poorly. That's no different in society. You could bust your tail, get a master's degree from Harvard, be a kick butt, nonstop, unabashed fighter of the people, and still be called an ape because you decided to wear a sleeveless dress while your husband, the president of the United States, addresses the people.
Yeah.
Some people who are listening to this thought I was talking about Obama. No, I was talking about Michelle Obama.
Yeah, I remember. Yep. How dare them?
And people are making comments about her dress and her showing off her arms because, it makes her look like an ape. Ooh, look at her.
And if someone says that, don't people realize we still have a long way to go?
Exactly. I don't condone the riots. I don't think looting and destroying property of our own helps further our cause, because a lot of the people that are being disenfranchised right now by the looters and the rioters are our own people, unfortunately.
In our own neighborhoods.
In our own neighborhoods, nonetheless. But I know where it comes from. I know where that wellspring came from. And it's not a wellspring we want to drink from. But unfortunately, it's dousing us. We are soaked with it because
it's water from a poisonous well.
It was held down for so long. And now people have got to see it. I mean, look at Paris, look at Germany. Everyone sees it. This movement is no longer just about George Floyd. As his daughter said, sitting on Stephen Jackson's shoulders, my father has changed the world. But her father had to die to do that. Is that fair? Is that right?
No.
Dane Blanton has changed the world. The way he did it, or the way he's about to do it, I think, because I can see him being phenomenal at USC. Will shine a spotlight on the ability of a man of his caliber to not just lead, but improve. And once we start to see those little nuances of what we offer to people, if they accept it, awesome. But don't look at it as it's the anomaly. It is the norm. There are more people like this in the world than you think.
Yeah.
Especially coming from a guy like me.
Someone told me when Dane was coming up, his older brother was even better than he was. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that, but
me neither. I'll if I can dial him up, I'll dial him up and ask.
I mean, on a local scale, I'll give you Greg Romulus in the 90s. Okay, he holds the record for most kills in a match. 61 for 98 people, only 5 errors. This is rally now. This is not side out. That will never ever be broken. Okay, keep dreaming. But who was the better Romulus? Was Rudy or was
Rudy?
Or the oldest brother?
Rudy was better. Rudy is
Rudy's the best
Greg,
blocker.
Rudy's better.
Well, you ask anybody, Rudy's better. Rudy's the best blocker to ever come out of NJIT.
If you ask anybody that knows the Romulus family, they'll say
but Tariq,
Rudy's better.
All of those people that's Tariq, I'll just go to NJIT. Chris Mose set for them a little bit. All of those people were like, he's as far as intelligence, not just some brother that could jump high, but as just intelligent and reads and when to leave early and this and that. At the world class level, you can name them on one hand. Maybe Gustavo from Brazil. Maybe Italy had Gracchi, who was a pretty good middle blocker. Craig, the U.S., you have to go as far back as Craig Buck or David Lee. I think David Lee's an intelligent blocker.
I think Doug Partee.
Yes.
Might have been
super athlete.
No insult to Ryan Millar, no insult to Max Holt. I will say that Doug Partee was probably the best middle hitter blocker the U.S. national team has ever had.
6'4". 6'4".
Exactly. 6'4".
Yeah, the outside in the oppo that had the same height as him. So, Pat, listen, I know you got to go and I got to go, but I promised my friend that I would get something from you. But I'm going to make the question easy and consolidate it. He's trying to be a better outside hitter, either teach it or practice it. I want you to give me three important things that an outside hitter should know or do. Is that a long question?
No. Okay. Outside of the technical stuff, we're talking about the metaphysical stuff, right? We're talking about the intangibles, right?
Let's do it.
All right. So, of course, you got to put in the time and the work in the gym. You've got to get technically strong. You, as an outside hitter, will never be satisfied. Ever. There isn't a set out there that will be to your liking. It does not exist.
No.
You will use your approach. And I'm quoting you, Jason, because you were the first person I ever heard say that the right way. You will use your approach to correct a bad set. If you do not have the tenacity and the wherewithal to understand that you will never get the perfect set all the time, just accept it. You will never be a good outside hitter.
No,
it just doesn't exist.
No, it's not a glorified position. That's a facade. That's a head fake.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
That's a good one.
I mean, it's right.
Yep.
2, better be ready for probably every bit of chastising and every bit of blame. Though the setter is the quarterback of the team, the outside hitter is equal to a quarterback on a football team. Because you will get every set. You will get every bailout set. You will get every in-set tempo, every set in tempo. You will get every set out of tempo. You will get every junk set. You will get, what was it? I had 77 attempts in one match. One match. I think it was against either Ramapo or USMMA. I had something like 77 attempts. 80. It was 80 attempts.
It was
80 attempts.
I think it was Ramapo and it was 4 sets. And that went to 4 sets.
4 sets.
Because that was side out.
Yeah. And we lost in 3.
Lost 3-1.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost in 4. Yeah, 3-1. And I had 80 attempts. And those attempts were never in the same spot. And I had to learn how to take good shots and not just swing away. I remember Chi yelling at me one time saying, either you're going to get blocked or you're going to learn. And I looked at her, I snapped, and this is in a match. We were playing New Paltz, actually. We were up at New Paltz. And I snapped my neck at her, and I tried to give her the side-eye, evil mom eye. And she goes, that will never work on me. You're either gonna learn or you're gonna get blocked.
The last of the power women, man. They don't make them anymore like that. So that's the second thing.
That's 2. 3. Lead by example and not by words. Put in the time. Be the first one in the gym on game day, jump serving 100 volleyballs out of the bin. Be the last one out on game day with your coach, with your teammates, playing doubles. The only way you get better is by wanting and having the passion to get better. If you don't have that, everything we've just discussed.
It's tough to be an outside hitter and have that and not have that. That's the
everything we just
discussed
will feel like weight on your shoulders. Everything we just discussed will feel like you are being crushed because you feel like the world is on you. This is the sport. This is a game. It's simple. It's difficult to master, but it's simple. And if you put in the right amount of time, if you put in the right amount of soul and heart into it, it does not matter what goes right or wrong in the match. It does not matter what goes right or wrong in the play. You knew that at the end of that sequence, you, your brothers and sisters on the court, everyone in the stands, left it in that moment.
I like that.
That's time to go to the next.
I'd like to finish with my 3, and it's really, this takes 60 seconds. 1, your first step is very, very important. For those of you that use a 4-step approach, right, left, you start that first step the same time it touches the setter's hand. So that allows you to jump sideways if you have to, allows you to speed up when the set is low, allows you to slow down if it's high, and jump inside if it's inside. That's 1. 2.
If it's a first tempo set.
Yeah. Out of the 4-step approach. 2, practice serve receive as much as you can, because you might be in an offense where the other outside hitter is better than you, and they need for balance of power, like Jiba and Dante, and like Reed and Riley Salmon, or Karch and Stavert Leak. One player has to be the best passer on the court, and the other has to be the more explosive one. Okay.
Or Karch and Aldis.
Yeah.
They never served Berzin. They served Karch.
Yeah, no, but think about Jiba and Dante. Can Jiba hit? Yes, but his role was to be the court leader and the best passer on the court. And Dante was the more explosive one. Reed Pretty and Riley Salmon, right? Riley Salmon was the best passer on the court at 6'1", or graciously at 6'1". So prepare yourself. Practice serve receive all the time, and make sure you're whatever system you fit as an interchangeable player. If you need to be the more explosive player, know your role. So that's the second thing. 3, have a shot you can always rely on. Sometimes the game is 24. Sometimes it's 24. When tensions get high and butt cheeks get tight. Okay.
Hit line, cross body line, tool that fingertip. Break the pinky ring. The pinky ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Patrick's shot. So as an outside hitter, make sure you have something I call a default shot. Many times, more often than not, you're going to be out of system. And when you're out of system, you're losing your court vision. And you're losing where the block is, and you're losing the stack blocking switch or the blocking scheme. Have a shot that's always there when you need it. Practice it. Use it as your focal point, and then scan away from it. So those are the 3 things I got.
So I'm going to tell this story now. Hopefully, Jay. I'm sorry, I know I'm late. It's already done.
I got another file in. I'm good.
So, and you will remember this because we're playing Mamdou at John Jay.
No.
It was the year where you were the associate head coach. And I can't remember what was going on, but I was standing in the middle of the court. And she screams out, "Who's passing?" And I throw up my arms, and I got this.
Yes.
By myself. So if you're an outside hitter, eye work, footwork, platform. Those are the 3 things in that sequence. Eye work, footwork, platform.
Yep. If
your eyes are bad, your feet will be bad. If your feet are bad, it doesn't matter where your platform is.
It'd be a hot mess.
Eye work,
I remember that game.
Footwork, platform.
I remember that game because Victor Abrigo, who was your other outside hitter, was not there. And we had a roster of 9 people. You had Tyson that was in class, couldn't get out of class. So you had 6 people. And she is like, who the hell is serve receiving? So you're missing your Oppo, because there's no libero back then, who's like your 3rd string passer, maybe.
Yeah.
But you and Victor ran a 2-passer system. So Victor and you. Much. So Victor is not there. And nobody wants to go back. Nobody wants. I don't know if nobody's thinking about it, but I didn't think anyone wanted that sauce. And you're like, who's back there to pass? And it was just you. And they served you at a spot where you weren't. And you literally dived. You dived.
I dove to my far right.
Yeah.
Passed the ball. The ball had to be at least 10, 15 feet off the net.
And
Alex Filetto. I love, to this day, Alex Filetto will be the greatest setter next to Ronnie Jalot I have ever played with. Runs under that ball. He sees me pop up, and I scream, "Set me!" And he puts the ball floating into the net from back row. and no one on John Jay's side jumps, and Mamdou screams, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
And I decimate this ball in the middle of the court, and I turn around, I go, "Hey, it's game time."
Yes.
And I will never forget that, because it was one of those things where, and she said this later on, and I think every volleyball player should live by this motto, especially if you're a team captain, especially if you're the person looked to be the leader at least. Your teammates will run through the wall for you when you do things for your teammates. I never thought I was a good teammate. I just thought I was a jerk. But a lot of my teammates from then have come back to me and said, "Nah, man, we loved you. We knew what was going on in your head."
I can't even think of a tighter. I mean, look, volleyball in general, these teams become emotionally invested and they become tight knit. But, and I'm not talking about levels, I'm talking about fellowship. I can't even think of a fellowship better than City Tech, except for maybe Cal Northridge with Greg Faulkner. Like Faulkner, Marty Lorenz, Ty Tremblay, all of these guys are still mad tight, but nothing. And maybe this is the East Coast love thing. Like, listen, out here they go to play pickup. No, but Patrick, out here, here's where the rubber meets the road. And on the West Coast, people want to play volleyball. They meet up, they have a time, they play, and when they're done playing, they bounce. Maybe they'll get a drink, maybe not. East Coast, we go to play pickup. If it's on a grass court, we bring a fucking barbecue, we bring food, and then after that we go to a bar. If we're playing in Central Park, we go to a bar, and after that we go clubbing or karaoke singing. Every summer, it's basically every damn night as long as it's warm. And then I come here and I'm like, "So what are you guys doing afterwards?" I'm going home. I'm going here. I'm like, okay. So why do you think I like Greg so much? Greg and I set a time in our head. Monday, Monday, we singing here. We're going to Hennessy's. Tower 12. Tower 12, we're here. So big up. But that's why I use Greg as a comparative.
Love Greg.
No, but that's why I use him as a comparative, because Northridge has that love, that emotional investment in each other. They got that. They all about that love, like City Tech was. So I had to plug them in.
I know for us, after we played in Central Park, we would troop. We would go to the 72nd Street McDonald's. I would have my notorious 8 burger racks.
Yes.
And then we'd troop.
Go to Grace
straight down Broadway.
All the way to Washington Square Park.
Yep. We walk all the way down to Bryant Park, and then we'd hop on the train to go home.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you cool down. You do that, you get some fucking junk food, and you walk from 72nd Street and Broadway to Washington Square Park, which is basically 4.5 miles. Okay.
That's a cool down.
Listen,
that is a cool down. Or we would turn around and go to the Upper East Side and go to Danny and Eddie's. We go to the Parlor.
How about Solas on Monday? How about
Solas on Monday nights?
Yeah, the Parlor was our sponsor. Well, the Parlor was our sponsor. For New York Urban. We had Big Mario, you, me, Mario, Kenny, Eder,
Dive Bar for a little bit. Dive Bar was our sponsor for a little bit.
Yep, Dive Bar was they were very good to volleyball, as was Blondie's.
Very good to us.
Atomic Wings, plugging in all these places that were really good to volleyball. When volleyball, like, it's expensive to play in New York, but for the guys who didn't have a lot of money, man, and still be working professionals and playing this professionals league would turn into a professional league. Big up to them. Yeah. Before we go, plugging in some people who were saying hi to you. Tavares Bynum said, let's service fake volleyball. That's what he says. Yesenia, remember that Dominican girl who I think she
Yesenia, yeah.
She says, Jason and Patrick, big hug. Nice to see you. Big hug. Junior Garcia.
Down in VA doing his thing with his club, Junior
Garcia, former head coach of Lehman College. Right. Big up
battles.
Yes, he says hi to him. So all right. So listen, that's it, man. We took it as far as we could go. You got things to do, and I got places to see. Actually, I'm gonna go get some lunch out here, man. You came after lunch. This is my lunch. Patrick Dietz, listen, for all of you watching at home, for all of you on your tablet, standing online at Starbucks, for all of you watching this on your iPhone or on your Android, for all of you watching this on your desktop, for Patrick Daddy Dietz, I am Jason DeBase, and I say, so long. I'm going to hit my music. Gonna hit my music, and we're out. Check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're gonna love what you hear. Okay, ending.